Hey, everybody, welcome back to another episode of Side DFS NFL Picks. I'm Rich Meguro 31. I apologize for the football videos this week. Mondays didn't have sound, Thursdays for some reason didn't get posted out there, but back, got a full breakdown for you of the week two slate. So the number one rule for week two is don't overreact week one. I know that teams ran the ball more than we expected, and I think there was only two quarterbacks had over 300 yards passing, and teams that we thought would be okay weren't. The teams that we thought would be bad ended up winning. So again, it's only week one. I say it over and over again. With the way the preseason is nowadays, with hardly anybody playing, they don't have timing, they don't have the chemistry. It takes a little bit of time for that to come. Those that held out are a little bit rusty, like Ayuk, who should have caught a wide open ball in the end zone and went right through his hands. More repetition, more camp, more timing, he makes that catch. So again, not going to overreact, but we're going to look a little bit at week one and talk about it. But I think we need like a couple weeks into the season before we can really see if they are who we thought they were, to quote the great Dennis Green. Okay, so we'll start with the first game. We have New Orleans at Dallas Cowboys, 46.5 total. Dallas is favored about 6.5. So I think you can take both parts of this. I mean, New Orleans actually went off last week, and there was a lot of different players. So Carr at quarterback, I can see playing GPP. Kamara, uh, he was a popular cash play, but I just can't do it every single week. So I think in GPP, he has some upside there. Olave at receiver, Shaheed is definitely a deep threat there. And then Tyson Hill is always fun at tight end because he can go in and run quarterback. He can be like a scat back, running back, fullback, play all over the field. So I always sprinkle him in at least one lineup just in case. Cowboy side of the ball, Dak Prescott he's been amazing at home. CD Lamb is obviously the focus of the uh the offense. I mean, you have Cook and some other pieces there. The corpse of Ezekiel Elliott has come back, but it doesn't look like, I mean, between him and Dowdle, and there's Deuce Vaughn in that backfield too. I just think things are way too spread out. I just can't. I think they both end up with like 10 DK points. I just can't do that. And the Dallas tight end is out. So if you Ferguson, um, he's still yellow, but I believe he's more doubtful at the time of the video. So Shoemaker could be out there, and at a tight end that's 2.9 gets you like 6, 7, 8 points, a couple catches, like 40 yards or so. That's nice for the price point. Defenses, Dallas has laid eggs before, and so is New Orleans. So I think both could be in play if you're doing some kind of stack, but I don't think either one is a priority this week. Next up, we have the game with the highest total. It is Tampa Bay going to Detroit at 51.5 total. Detroit's favored by 7.5, and Detroit has the highest total on the board at 29.5. So Tampa Bay didn't look bad last week. Evans, wish had a little bit more production, but Rachaad White is definitely a solid running back there. I know they talked about getting Bucky Irving involved, and that might still come. You got Sean Tucker, who I know from Syracuse was a pretty decent back in the backfield there too. I don't know if he'll be active or not, but I think 67% goes to White. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He's a good play, but Troy has a decent run defense, so I don't know if I'm going to be playing too much White here. But Evans, Godwin, McMillan. Godwin in the slot there is just where you really want to target Detroit. So I think he's going to be quite popular in cash games at 6K. And the tight end, if you want to throw Otten in there and stack, that's fine. But I really like the Detroit side better. Goff, definitely to get exposure to all these weapons as a pretty solid quarterback here. Gibbs and Montgomery, it's a tough choice there, but I don't think you can go wrong either way. I think you just need to look at the game script, and I think this is going to be pretty back and forth. So I think the favorites Gibbs. Usually in games where they get ahead, it's going to be more Montgomery the hammer. But the Bucks are definitely pass funnel defense. So, which means that they stop the run really well, and they are like broken. They have so many guys out in their secondary and stuff that through the air is where you want to go with this. So Gibbs catching passes out of the backfield versus the ground and pound with Montgomery. I favor Gibbs in this one. And Ross St. Brown's, he didn't do jack last week, but I think they had a really good scheme for him. I think that again, let's not overreact to week one. I think you get him for low ownership, and I think he goes for 20 DK points. I think it's a solid day. I think people overreact and play Jameson Williams, but after he had that one long touchdown catch, but I think that his knee is a little bit banged up, and maybe he has a couple of good games or catches, but I'm going back to St. Brown and then Khalif Raymond still in the mix there also, and Laporta the tight end. Defenses, I don't think I really want to touch either one on this. Like you're really kind of um playing with fire, but I think Detroit could be a best buy in defense here. They look good, and Tampa Bay, I think if Baker Mayfield can make some mistakes. We've seen that. So if they get enough pressure on him, that leads to turnovers and sacks. So I think that can add up, and the price point on them isn't too bad. So Detroit defense is in play for you. For I think you can play them in cash games. At Tampa Bay, unless you're counting on Detroit completely collapsing at home, which I don't see happening, and the highest total on the board failing, I'm not that much some. Colts in Green Bay. This one is a 40.5 total, so lower compared to a lot of the ones on the slate here. Colts are favored by about 3 points here. So, and it's all because Jordan Love is most likely not. Well, actually, I saw that on the ticker on ESPN. He's not playing. Willis will start at quarterback here with a knee um, sprain there. So, he was looking good against the Eagles there. So starting on the Colts side of the ball, Richardson had some great plays. He threw a dime off his back foot, off balance. So it's gonna be exciting, but we'll have to see. Green Bay has a decent defense, but you had Barkley come back to life, a renaissance there, and score like what 3 touchdowns versus them last week and just annihilate them. So I think that Jonathan Taylor is in play here. I think it's a strong play, and I think that um, he might have more success. So Richardson might not have to run. So I'm okay if you play both or either Richardson and Taylor. Pittman, I think, is back in play here. I know Pierce had a good game, but Downs will be back. So there will be a little bit more spread out, but Pittman's definitely the alpha here. And then tight end, if you have to, Gregson, if you're stacking the game. Defensively, I like the Colts, and I think that if Green Bay struggles with a new quarterback here on a short week and can't get the offense going, like they struggled last year at times when Love was out, then Taylor could they could get up, and then Taylor's just going to pound the ball, and the defense is a good play paired with Taylor. Green Bay side of it, I'm not touching Willis. Josh Jacobs was a little banged up. He doesn't have an injury tag on him, so he should be okay. But you still have Emmanuel Wilson in the backfield too, who's pretty quick, and I don't think he's going to take snaps away from him. But if Jacob should re-injure something, but he's got to be the focal point. So I think he's a strong play, and you can play him in cash. For the wide receivers, we definitely saw Jaden Reed step up and be the number one guy. And I said it on the video too, and hopefully you listen to it if you watch the video for the Showdown Slate, that I like him. Watson's the guy you like the most usually because he's just a tall guy and he's like the one that they drafted to be the number one. But Reed, they design plays for jet sweeps, bubble screens, things like that. And I think they'll continue to do that. Now, Reed's a little bit banged up. He should play. He's questionable. I think he mixed practice maybe on Friday, so we have to keep an eye on that. But if he's in the game, he's worth it. Watson's the other one, but Dubes and Wicks are there, and they're and then you have Kraft and Musgrove, the tight end. Kraft definitely um, got the lion's share of everything, but doesn't mean that Musgrove won't get it this week. So I think you have too many question marks here with this. Josh Jacobs is probably the only thing that you really want. I think the Colts will probably dominate this game. So not really touching Green Bay, but I just figured we should cover it because we're going through every team. Next up, we have the Chargers and Carolina Panthers. The Panthers looked so bad last week. So I think the Chargers with 39 total here, and they're favored by 5.5 points. That might not be high enough. I might bet the over on that one. But unfortunately, Herbert has become a big game manager in this new offense. They got the offensive coordinator from the Ravens, who was a couple there a couple years ago, and he is brought in Dobbins and Edwards, who is familiar with, and Dobbins just shined. He looks healthy. So I think he's the feature back there. And Herbert, his wide receivers are banged up. We'll have to see who plays. But I think it looks like McConkey is his favorite. I think he's going to be a nice slot guy that's going to get like Edelman used to, or Cole Beasley, those guys that you just used to get be target monsters. I think that can happen, but I don't think it's really going to do enough to make Herbert. I like the price tag on him, but I don't think he's going to be really fantasy relevant this year because again, I think he's going to become a game manager and really conservative, and they're going to run a lot with these two with the thunder and lightning of Dobbins and Edwards, and McConkey is glad is going to catch some balls out of the slot. You have Palmer there also and Quentin Johnson to kind of stretch out the defense. But again, I think that they're going to be a more conservative offense. It's probably going to be effective, but it's going to be more conservative. They're playing the Panthers here, so I really like Dobbins here, and I think San Diego defense is probably one of the best ones on the board. So I like pairing those up. I could see a Gus Edwards pairing too if you think that they're going to run Dobbins early to get the lead, and then Edwards is just going to pound, 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 and just keep on gaining the yards and get the goal line carries and everything to run out the clock, and it's all going to add up for you. Then that makes sense to pair them there. Panthers, I am not touching anything on this side of it. The backfield between Chuba Hubbard and Sanders is way too muddy. Bryce Young is looks like he shouldn't be an NFL quarterback, so I think Carolina's going to be trying to figure out the answer for there. Deontay Johnson, this is not Pittsburgh anymore. Adam Thielen, this is not your Renaissance year anymore. Leggett is there also. Mingo, again, don't touch the Panthers here. At GPP, if you're mass multi entering, yes, anything can happen in sports, and maybe they go off and break the slate, but don't have too much ownership in them. Jets and Titans, another game that I'm not super excited about. 41 total. Jets, Aaron Rodgers looked pretty rusty. They got beat up more than I thought that they would in the game that they played last week. And the Titans were very disappointing also. So Jets have a decent defense, especially runs. So uh I'll start with the Jets side of it. Aaron Rodgers, I'm not touching again. He looks rusty. I think he needs his timing. Brees Hall, I think, is a cash staple here because the Tennessee um, has in the past been uh, pass funnel defense where they were good against the run and dared you to pass against them. But it seems like the pendulum has kind of changed. It's a different coach and different philosophy and things. So I think Hall, with catching and being able to run, is going to have a very, very solid game. And he is the offense for the Jets here. You can take some Garrett Wilson, but I think I still like the slot guys. Williams is still dealing with injury and coming back and probably be on a snap count. So Lazard and Gibson are the ones that I'd look at. Lazard was the better one, but don't sleep on Gibson. He's got a lot of talent and as a force receiver, a slot receiver. I think Lazard and Gibson are going to trade slot on and off throughout the season. So um, there's some good cheap guys for some targets. And Conklin, the tight end, is also in play. So between those three K guys, if you can get the right one, again, it might be scratch off lottery ticket territory here. But Rodgers really needs to be able to be healthy and get a couple games under his belt before I feel he's effective enough to be make most of this team besides Hall DFS relevant. The Jets, I can see playing the defense. It is pretty sound and pairing with Hall. And Tennessee side, really nothing here. Like Levis was disappointing. Hopkins should be back. Ridley, just the Jets has shut down. So you want slot guys. So Tyler Boards is where I'd look there. You don't really want to play um, outside people because they just have their corners are just so good on the outside. So Lukuku, the tight end, or Boyd and slot is where I'd like to go. But I don't think I can really pair Levis with it. He just looked out of sorts, and I'm not touching the running game. Raiders and Ravens. This should be a blowout. By it's at Baltimore. They're favored by 9.5. So I just really not touch anything on the Raiders here. Not touching Minshew, Zamir White, Devontae Adams, Myers, Brock Bowers maybe at tight end. Seems like he was decent for GPP and got a lot of targets and probably could get you 10 DK points at 4-4. But other than that, I'm not touching anything on the Raiders. Baltimore, I think, still in GPP territory. There's so many weapons here. I don't think they really showed us anything. I know Likely had a great game, but the game planned against Andrews, and I think this might be Andrews' week. So I'm more inclined to take him than over Likely. I think people will chase Likely based on what they saw on Thursday Night Football, and I think that's going to be a mistake for them. So Lamar, you can always take as a standalone quarterback. I like him a little bit better on FanDuel than I do on DK with just the pricing and everything. Henry, he looked like he fits into his offense really well as the hammer, but you always have the threat of Lamar cannibalizing him, and Justice Hill still in the backfield there too. And Ricard, the fullback, sometimes gets some goal line carries. So at wide receiver wise, like Flowers should be the guy. You know, Bateman and Alga are still hanging out there, but they use the tight ends a lot. Good luck figuring out like where the offense is going to come from here. So you have a lot of good options. It's kind of like the Detroit thing. And if you wanted to try to nail it in a GPP, that's fine. I'd go with some different combinations pairing with Lamar. And I'm okay with the defense and Henry. But other than that, I just really can't support any players in Baltimore in cash. Seattle and the Patriots, the surprising Patriots who knocked off Cincinnati and knocked like 75% of people out of their survivor pool. So um, that was kind of shocking. They're, again, we can't overreact. So is it a case that they're not as bad as we thought they are and Mayo's going to be a good coach and that Brissett's going to be okay until they eventually figure out what they want to do with the quarterback position, bring the young guy in that they still have some guys out in wide receiver, uh, like Bourne, I believe, injured. Gibson's back, but not 100%. So still a lot of question marks there. So Seattle, they're going to be out with um, Kenneth Williams the third. So, or Walker the third. So that Charbonnet is going to be the lead back here and should be a decent play in cash at 5.8 against the Patriots. They were okay against the run last week, but again, we'll have to see how they fare this week. Smith, I just he's okay. Not somebody that I really I think there's much better options. He's 5.5, which is a good price point, and it could probably get you like 15 to 17 DK points, which I'm okay with. So in a tournament, if you want to pair him and Charminat and the Seattle defense and then take Metcalf or Smith Najigba. I know Lockett looked he was injured. He went out there and he actually had some catches and looked like he's still playable. But I just think Father Time's catching up with him, and I just feel more confident in Metcalf and in Smith Najigba out there. I don't even know who I'd run this back with. Maybe Stevenson just because he seems like to be the only offense that could get you maybe up to like 20 DK points. So again, if you want some Seattle pieces, that's fine. I feel it's more of a GPP. If you want to go Charbonnet and Cash and like maybe Seattle defense and pair them together, completely makes sense. And if you want to take some shots at some of these wide receivers, I'm fine with that. But I think there's much better options out there. And like for the Patriots, Stevenson's a solid play in cash or all formats. I'm really not touching anybody else in this game. Giants and Commanders. This could be like the toilet bowl here. 43 total. It only has like a 1.5 point spread. So you have a game that could be a shootout, a game that could be a complete dud. I'm going to have a lot of exposure to it just because the pieces are cheap and they're really fun to stack. So the Giants side, you have to make a decision. Do you trust Daniel Jones? Was it just one bad game? Was it Russ coming back from the what do you have, an Achilles injury or whatever he had from last season? Was it like Aaron Rodgers? He just wasn't ready to be back with timing and stuff. He like looked so bad, but he does have rushing upside. It is a definitely a game where if he is on, like he has an opportunity to pass, he has an opportunity to do well. So I don't feel him in a cash game, but in GPP I might have a stack. Singletary's running back, I'm okay with. Looks like a decent replacement for Barkley. And then the wide receivers, Neighbors is definitely solid. Everybody else has been banged up, including Neighbors. Like he was questionable most of the week, but he's practiced on Friday, so he should be good to go. Slayton's back in there, Wardell Robinson. Um, who's another like deep threat too there. And tight end wise, I mean, Bellinger and Johnson are both there. Like Bellinger was the guy last year. Now you have Theo Johnson in the mix, and that just could be a mud puddle I'm not going to touch. So, if anything, I'm stacking Daniel Jones and Neighbor, and then there's plenty of Washington guys to run it back with. Maybe Wendell Robinson if I want a deep threat. And not touching the Giants defense here. The Commanders, Jaden Daniels probably gonna be the chalk for cash. He showed such upside for running. I think he had like 80 yards or something, really close to on FanDuel to get that 100-yard bonus. Brian Robinson still got carries and involved in the offense. Eckler wasn't there as much. He still scares me that he's lurking there just with how talented he was, but I just might just be a veteran backup that they picked up and that they've kind of moved on and they don't really have a role for him. Wide receivers, McLaurin, I know didn't have a great game last time out, but I think that he's someone that could definitely bounce back here. The Zacchaeus I loved in Atlanta, but I don't think this is his game. I love Luke McCaffrey. I believe he's a rookie that's at 3.8. I think he's got a ton of upside, and I'll be definitely pairing him with some um, in my lineups with Daniels just to save me some money. And you have the veteran tight end Ertz here that's also in the mix. So I think most people are going to play Daniels and like McLaurin or maybe McCaffrey or Ertz, and then run it back with Neighbors. And I think there's going to be a high ownership in this game with a lot of different pieces. And I could see a case for playing the Commanders defense also with Robinson against the Giants if they're going to be a train wreck like they were last week. Cleveland and Jacksonville Jaguars could be raining here. I mean, it's Florida. It's September. It rains a lot, 84 degrees and like a 40% chance of rain. So Cleveland, Deshaun Watson looked terrible. If you want to play game theory, I think nobody's going to play him. This is my chance to take down the millionaire because Jacksonville looked bad against Miami and choked that game away and gave it to the Dolphins gift wrapped. Then go for it. Ford at running back, I'm not super excited about here. Wide receivers, you got Cooper and Jerry Judy and Elijah Moore. So, but like, where do you go there? And the tight end of Joko's out, so Atkins is going to be in the mix. So at 3K, I mean, he might be able to get like 6 to 8 points. So that's not bad either. Someone to look at if you're not going with the Dallas guy or some of the other cheap ones. So again, I really don't like Watson, but I am kind of intrigued at how bad he was. And I think maybe a Cleveland stack might be super, super sneaky. And I don't think I'm playing the Cleveland defense. I think a lot of people will take on the Jacksonville side. Like Trevor Lawrence will, I think people overtrust him. I'm a little skeptical, so I don't think I'll have him pretty much in any of my lineups, but I get it. ETN is definitely a solid running back. I just think there's better options in the price range this week. And they've got Tank Bigsby there. I just think it's a matter of time before he starts to eat in. He's a very talented, very strong running back. And then wide receivers, Kirk and Brian Thomas are the top two there. I know they brought Gabe Davis from Buffalo, but again, I think we need some time to see like what the target share is going to be in this, and we just can't go by one game against the Dolphins. And then Ingram, you have the tight end there. So Jacksonville pieces make sense against a Cleveland team that seemed to kind of struggle. It should be a close game, but and if you want to play Jacksonville defense, I think that they're in play also. Uh, but I just don't really love this game with the total, with the weather, and just with the quality of the pieces. But I do like this next game. I think a lot of people are also San Francisco and the Minnesota Vikings. It is a 4.4 total or spread with a 46.5 total. And San Francisco is going to be without McCaffrey again. So Jordan Mason, you're up. Your game was so late that DK didn't get a chance to price you up, so you're only 5-2 and probably going to be like 80% owned in cash games. For the rest of the San Francisco offense, again, I feel it's the same thing as Detroit, and I feel it's the same thing as we looked at the Ravens. There's just so many options. So Samuel, I think, is really cheap at 6'8", and I think that he is one that you can definitely play. Purdy, people play him, but again, he feels like more of a game manager. I know he's got a little bit of rushing upside, and he's got so many weapons. And sometimes we talk about when you don't know what to do with the weapons, then take the quarterback, so that way at least you have exposure to all of them. And I'm okay with that, but I don't love it. I think there's better options. I really like quarterbacks with like a lot of rushing upside that can score in multiple different ways, and I don't think Brock Purdy is that. Um, I think he's going to score through his players, but I don't think that he has a chance to like score on his own. So Samuel, I like. They had some rushing plays for him dialed up with in McCaffrey's absence, and just like back like 3 years ago when he was that kind of like combo running, you didn't know if he was running back or wide receiver. They still have those plays in the playbook. Ayuk, I said, looks a little rusty. Juwan Jennings should be healthy and back out there. And I'll get some targets too. And then Kittle, the tight end, you always like him when McCaffrey's out because it increases his role in the offense. But again, there are so many other options, and in the price range that he is, it's kind of hard. Like I like him better than Andrews and Ingram, but I think he kind of priced in no man's land because a lot of people think are going to go up to Kelsey and McBride, or they're going to drop down to like Parkinson, Conley, Conklin or Ertz or Akins, are the people that are even the guy that's was a Shoemaker is filling in for Dallas. Vikings side of the ball, Darnold looked decent in his first game, but he does lose Addison, so one of his wide receiver weapons. So that's going to increase the target share for Jefferson, but also Jalen Naylor, I really like as someone that benefits from that. Tight end situation, Munt is okay. Uh, End up waiting for Hawkinson to come back from injury. So, and Aaron Jones was a little bit banged up, and San Francisco has a pretty stout run defense. So I don't know if I really want to target him too much here. If you're stacking this game, I'd probably take Purdy as the quarterback over Donald, and then obviously Mason and Samuel, and then I'd probably just run it back with Jefferson or Naylor. That's how I'd go. I don't really like either defense here. I think they'll be fine. If you want to get a little cute and take San Francisco's defense and then build it with the story that San Francisco is going to go out and annihilate them, and then Mason's going to just get to pound it towards the end of it, then that makes sense. San Francisco's defense is definitely good. Minnesota defense, I wouldn't touch. Next game, that's another exciting game. It's starting the 4 o'clock games is the Rams and the Cardinals here. So you have 48 total, and it's 1 point spread favoring the Cardinals. So the Rams lost Nakua uh, for a while with a knee injury, so Cooper Kupp price has not gone up. He's only 7.6, and that's an amazing price for him to take advantage of, and the target share he's going to get. So Stafford or Murray, either quarterback you can take in this one. If Stafford, I definitely make a case for. Kyron Williams is definitely going to, it was the alpha there and should have a good game against the Cardinals. Running and catching the ball up is just probably a lock in cash games. Then, if you want to figure out Demarcus Robinson or Tyler Johnson, who gets the Tutu Atwell still there, but I think they might just throw him out a couple deep patterns just to give the other guys a breather. He might catch one ball for like 35 yards, but I don't think he's going to break the slate. So it's going to be between Robinson and Tyler Johnson. Johnson is significantly cheaper and definitely has upside, but Demarcus Robinson was used last year when Cup was out and when Nakua was out at times as a priority in the offense. So the offensive coordinator and Stafford is used to him. So I think that there might be some chemistry there for plays over Johnson. But again, if you nail the right one, you do. If not, at least you're not paying a lot to roster these guys. And then Parkinson, the tight end, I think is going to benefit a lot also. So he was pretty solid last week, and he's only 3.1, so pretty cheap there. Kyler Murray, you can play him with people or on its own. He's a dynamic athlete, rushing, passing, doing it all. Should have a really good game here. Especially, I love how close it is with the total. Connor is definitely in play. Doesn't look like the miles are catching up on him yet. Marvin Harrison was very under. I can't say underperform. It's rookie's first game, and Kyler Murray said that it's not his responsibility to get him the ball. That's the player to get open and the offensive coordinator to call the plays. So I don't think people will overreact and be like he's a bust and not play him. So this is a great place to buy low and with his like 2 to 5% ownership and put him in the game stack here and watch him potentially go off. But you do have like Dortch. I love him as sorry as a wide receiver here too. You know, he catches a lot of balls. They add up, and like you look up and like, wow, he's got 10 DK points already. He really didn't do much, but does enough of little things to make it add up. And then McBride, the tight end, again wasn't super dominant in week one, but has potential just like last year to be a solid player. I'm not touching the defense on either side of the ball here. Pittsburgh and the Broncos, 36 total, so one of the lowest ones on the slate. It's a 2.5 favorite. Pittsburgh. Justin Fields, I think you can consider here. He should play over Russell Wilson again, but I just as a standalone, like it's the backfield's a mud puddle here with Harris and Warren and Fields running the ball too a little bit. The wide receivers, I mean, Pickens should be the number one, but I just trying to get a grasp on this offense and making it his own and just switching coordinators and stuff. I think Fryermuth is the one that I feel the most safe with, but with just such a low total and going into Denver with the air being thin and wearing down conditioning, and if you're not like really used to it, I just think this is a fade here. Unless you want to play like the Pitts defense as a standalone, Fields as a standalone, or try to figure out with Harris or Warren who's going to be the running back to pair with the defense. I'm not touching anything else. Freiermuth maybe, but there's so many great tight end options here. I just can't see you doing it. Denver, there's really nothing I like here either. Bo Nix, no. I think he's got a lot to learn as a rookie. Javante Williams, I thought would he catch his balls out of the running back, but Jaleel McLaughlin is just pretty much even with him. I think both of them will have like 1% ownership and maybe get 5 to 10 DK points, but running backs in the 5K range that are filling in better situations. Like Zach Moss could get you like 15. So I don't think I'm going there at all. Sutton just didn't look great. Reynolds, like I just can't do it. So again, from this game, I think it's Pittsburgh defense or Justin Fields is the only place you really want to go unless you're like mass multi-entering and playing every single team. Final game, the Bengals and Chiefs. The Bengals were super disappointing last week. Joe Burrows looked rusty still, and maybe just hasn't had enough time to come back from his injury. I think he had Achilles, or I can't remember what knee or something. Chase the whole holdout thing, and we thought Ios Vivas would capitalize there, and he was okay, but not as a smash play like we thought he would. Gesicki, the tight end, still there. Moss, the running back, was solid, but this Chiefs defense is very good, and I just don't think the Bengals really succeed here. It's a 48 total. The Chiefs are favored by 6, so I think they're still giving the Bengals some respect, but I just don't think there's many pieces I want to take. Burrows, I'm not interested in. Chase, I think it's going to be the same thing as like Andrews. They're going to scheme to shut him down. So I'll this definitely a 3-8 could be in play here. Gasecki, that's the only place I really go here. The Chiefs side of the ball, same story as I said with San Francisco and with the Ravens. And Detroit, there's just so many weapons here. Who do we pick from? Mahomes, I think, is going to be a very popular cash quarterback. I think people are going to pair him with Rashid Rice after what happened. Worthy might get overplayed just based on how well he did, but he really didn't have that many targets and receptions last week. I think he's a definitely a fast um, rookie and has a lot of upside, but I just think you're going to see maybe Kels do better in this one against softer defense than the Ravens, and have more opportunities. And Pacheco's definitely a focus of this offense. And I think Pierre Ryan, it's a revenge game against Cincinnati here. He has a lot of talent also still, and I think you'll see him as a change of pace from Pacheco, and at 4-2, like he definitely could get a bunch of catches in a limited time and maybe even poach a touchdown. So the potential's there. So how if I'm stacking this game, I'm gonna go Mahomes and Rice, and then right back with Chase or Iosovich, or probably Iosovich, so I can probably get like maybe Kelsey in there and get like a three a triple stack with or double stack with Mahomes with receivers, but I'm okay throwing the Kansas City defense in there also with Pacheco in the stack with Mahomes and Rice, and maybe playing like four Chiefs and only running it back with Iosovich, and just in case they're chucking the ball and he's just turning out points just by catches for like 3 yards here, 3 yards here, 4 yards here, 2 yards here. It's all going to add up, and it's a cheap price point. So if the game script works and they get up and then Pacheco's just pounding the rock at pure line and you have the Chiefs defense and they're turning Joe Burrow over, then should be a solid game for you. So let me look at the builds and get you on your way. So again, if you look at the sheet, there are so many other plays that are not on here. Um, the reason Jacobs is in blue, sorry I didn't explain that before, is that he was most likely to play. So the yellow is questionable, the orange is doubtful, and the red is definitely out. So again, there's so many other plays that could be on here. I just tried to narrow it down for you as my favorite plays in the range, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that I won't play other players that aren't on the sheet, or that there aren't other guys that deserve to be on the sheet. So let's look at the builds here. So in cash, give me Daniels, give me Hall and Mason, and Cup and Neighbors. I know Debo Sanders is going to be popular there. I think I'd rather pair McLaughlin or McLaurin there from Washington, or McCaffrey or Ertz, or even Brian Robinson in cash. And taking the try not to cough, I'm sorry. If I take the Chargers defense, I think that if I could get like Dobbins or Edwards in there also to pair with them, that's fine. And I'm probably gonna, if I don't take Ertz, I'm gonna take a really cheap tight end because there's so many great options that are like at the bare minimum that can give me like 10 DK points, and that's just an amazing value spot there. For the GPP, give me that highest total in game there. Goff, Gibbs, Taylor and the Colts. I'm going to pair them up um, against a run defense that should give up a lot of yards in Green Bay, and I think they're just going to dominate that. The defense going to dominate that game against Willis, coming in with like little time to prepare with a short week, and offense was already kind of sputtering a little bit. And then gonna run back the Detroit game with Godwin, and then give me Naylor from Minnesota as a value wide receiver. But there's so many other value guys that could go in there also. So we got 40 questions from chat below. Hit me on Megaro on Twitter or X if you want more information off DFS. And tomorrow's a great day to play your if you have your crown boost, because you have baseball, you have soccer all day long. You have there's PGA Showdown too, WNBA. If there's any, I don't think there's college football games on Sunday, but MLB baseball, NASCAR, like we have it all covered. So it's only $6. Go to the description of the video, get to the price tag, get into our Discord, and you can get the cords and help and information on all the things for just $6. Use a crown boost and just come away hopefully with an amazing Sunday with a lot of green screens. So thanks for watching. As videos helps back, likes, subscribe to our channel, and share with your friends. And I hope to be back Monday night for the Monday Night Football game with sound. So thanks for watching. I'm Mike Rule 31. Hope you have an amazing weekend. I'll see you next time.